And we're going to record. Okay. Twitch, are we up? Wait for it. Yes, okay. Oops, I gotta start my chat. There we go. Okay, we got that up and running, and we're gonna get cracking. So today, we're gonna keep moving forward with this book that we started last time, this kind of Enchiridion style book we're doing. Hey video, thanks for showing up. Let me go ahead and grab our streaming medieval zombie. So the idea is we're going to be doing like the Black Cauldron style medieval zombie type thing, and we're going to start with this book. And hopefully you guys can help me out, because Lord knows I'm out of ideas in my old age. So this is kind of the block out we did last time, and we started with using Dynamesh for these pages, and then we built, let's go ahead and throw this to the top here. So we got these pages, and we got this book binding, and this is where we kind of, whoops, I forgot we rotated this around. So let's go ahead and take this binding here, and let's do, I'm trying to think, if we just snap this. Go ahead and move this into place. I do want to make sure that this is somewhat mirrored, so let's go ahead and do a mirror and weld across the Z-axis here. Mirror and weld, Z-axis. And let's first do a mirror across the Z and then mirror and weld across the Z-axis. Local symmetry off. There we go. That'll be good enough. So this is what we did last time, and then we started concepting this thing out. Oh, and by the way, if you need to watch my videos on demand, they're always going to be backed up on YouTube, so I can go ahead and link you guys to that. And you can see that under the live stream full episodes, just to get caught back up. And then I'm going to keep these around just for when we do our final versions, but then I went through here and we started doing a Dynamesh version where we just got a little bit loose and had playing around with some ideas and stuff like that. Hey everybody, thanks for showing up. We're going to be doing, reminds me, we're going to be doing a ZBrush giveaway. $50 to spend, not on my stuff, just on anything you want on ZBrush, $50. And $50 goes a long way on ZBrush. So we'll be talking more about that as we go along. The next thing I want to do, well, let's talk about functionality. So we got this little skull in the middle here, and then we got the book binding, obviously. We got this, I don't know, this could be like metal stuff. Again, I'm kind of looking at this thing. We got like metal stuff around the side. We'll beat it up a little bit. We got kind of designs in here. I don't know if I'm going to put any jewels on here, but basically what I'm thinking is you got a big key, and that big key is going to go in the skull. You're going to turn it. It's going to go, and that's going to unlock, and it's going to go, and then here's going to be a smaller key, and that smaller key you'll use to unlock this side panel over here. So hopefully by the end of this stream, we're not going to be finished with the book, but we'll at least have enough stuff kind of done well to a certain point where we can previs, get a good idea of where we'd like to proceed before we start doing our final model. So we'll throw this into Houdini, get a game resin UVs, and we'll throw it into Painter and have a little bit of fun there. Hey everybody, thanks for showing up. Pavwork, literally just following your boot tutorial on YouTube. Cool. Hopefully that helps out. That's whenever you're doing stuff like boots and pouches and stuff, that kind of workflow, and even this stuff, anything that's, you'd be surprised, it's like it seems organic, but a lot of it is just blocking out the main shapes really cleanly, and then at the very end you go in and you put some wrinkles on it, and then you're kind of done. So I'm doing good, Hanny, thanks for asking. AK Cheng asks, is there a way to make a hole using topology brush? I think there's a hidden feature. A hole using the topology brush? Yeah, I mean, yeah, we'll do a little bit of that too on this stream here. So if you go to BTO, which is your topology brush, you can always go through here. I'm going to turn off X. And then you, oh, you're talking about like if we had, let's see. There is some fancy stuff you can't, whoops, I don't want to do that. Let's go to tools here and we'll grab our trusty dog. So there is some fancier stuff you can do with the topology brush if you have like a a poly group here, and then you do ZRemesher, I think. I'm not sure. There's something that's scratching my brain somewhere, but I mean, as far as the functionality of the topology brush, it doesn't really. I mean, you can always do this, and then let's go ahead and just go across here, and then if you don't want geometry in the middle, you can always just, let's do a split mask points. And this is not what you're talking about, but QMesh a single poly, you can pull this back. And now you've got a hole in your topology brush geometry however you want, but creating a hole, one thing you can do, if you have, I think if we have a, let's do this across the x-axis here. Let's do delete hidden, mirror and weld. So we have this on both sides, and we go to brush, insert BI, primitives H. I wonder if we do it on both sides. Because yeah, you can poke a hole, you can model a hole through a ZRemeshed object. Oh man, we're getting into stuff that I don't even remember anymore. Let's try it. I just want to try something real quick. So we're going to go over here to our primitives here. We're going to grab a cylinder, go into edit mode, make polymesh 3D. We're going to go ahead and do a group by normals, and we're going to grab this right here. We're going to hit delete hidden, and now we're going to go to B, brush, create insert mesh, new, go back to the dog. And if I hold down Alt, and let's go across the x-axis. No, that's probably not going to do it. Oh yeah, I guess it did. Yeah, so I mean, I can use, what am I looking for here? It's called Mesh Fusion. I can use Mesh Fusion to poke a hole through my object. As far as, there is something with ZRemesher with topology brush. Let me see, BTO. So if I go through here, and I do like, I don't know, ZRemesh half. No, I don't know. There's something in my brain. I don't really remember what it is. Hey everybody, thanks for showing up. Hey Michael, when will we model the Space Marines? Well, you know, we started modeling a kind of a Space Marine, ooh boy, a long time ago. Streaming, Pavwork male. Let's see what state we left him in. Solo polyframe. Oh yeah, so we were doing a little bit of pouch work here, and again, just like the boot tutorial, it's just a lot of box modeling, and then at the very end you go through and you start doing your final sculpts on here. And we could even add some more fancy stuff like here, like the cloth strip that goes around here for like, it's kind of like a mag pouch or something like that. So our Space Marine, he's not super spacey, he's a little more grounded than that. So we got him kind of to this point. I guess we could finish him up sometime soon. He doesn't have too much work left. If you want to see a Space Marine-ish lady, we do have our ZBrush female here. High res, tech suit, details. Go ahead and load her up. Most of what I did on her was on my Pixelogic channel. And if you want to catch up on those, you can go to this link right here. This is, go to the Pixelogic channel and just go to videos or playlists, and you'll see Michael Pavlovich Workshop, or just Google that, Pavlovich Workshop. And way down here you'll see, we basically did her from scratch. We started with the anatomy model and sculpted anatomy, and then sculpted her body, and then started sculpting her armor, and then just refined her armor over time, and then we kind of took some breaks to do a bunch of weirdo Mario stuff and photogrammetry stuff. But she's kind of a Space Marine. We ended up redoing her helmet, but you can kind of see, let's go to a different shader here so you can see a little bit better. You can see we got her kind of a Crytek suit blocked out, and we got all these little mechanical-y parts, and then what we ended up doing is crashing ZBrush. What we ended up doing is redoing that helmet. So whenever ZBrush crashes, it'll happen sometimes, load it back up, and it'll tell you, usually, say about 95% of the time, it'll say, open up this file. Yeah, quick save, quick save. So under quick save, you're going to have these recovered tools over here. So that's good. And then if we go over here to our streaming again, and we go back to our ZBrush female, high res, and we go to helmet refine, I basically just took her torso, and then we started just doing a little bit more helmet work, then kind of incorporating her back piece into this helmet and chest piece here. And then, of course, what we need to do next is the mech suit. Let me see if I can find that. It's been a while since we played around with this thing, and this will probably completely change, but we do have a mech suit she can kind of fit in, and then this can be her overall, I don't know, space floating mech suit there. AK Chang, just in case, you can use the Mesh Fusion tool, but if you are using Dynamesh, obviously, or Booleans, yeah, you can poke all the way through. So, for example, let me show you this. Let me go to tool real quick here. So if you are working Dynamesh, we'll turn off like this. All you got to do is we'll put a cylinder through here, hold down Alt, and you don't have to hold down Alt. You can make this. There's a lot of different ways you can do this, but you can go ahead and poke a hole through like that. Or if we go through here and we grab a cylinder, and then we do, say, split mass points, and then we throw this below, and then we make this subtractive, and then we push this cylinder through, and then we turn on live Boolean, you're going to see I can put a hole wherever I want, and then you just make a Boolean mesh. If you want a little bit more info on this for anybody that's watching, it'll be on my YouTube channel under the, let me just take you to my playlist here, ZBrush 4R8 What's New. That'll walk you through all the live Boolean functionality. A lot of really cool stuff. You can make lots of holes through your object if you want to. So, let's see, delete all. Okay. After you finish the book, it'd be cool to see it working in Unreal. We should do that. Let me think about that one. If we have enough time today, we'll do it. Now it says, I meant the 40,000, Warhammer 40,000 Space Marine with horns, eagles, skulls. Yeah, we should do that too. I mean, we kind of had that with our tech suit. We could probably turn something like this pretty quickly into some sort of Space Marine, that style. Of course, I don't want to get sued, so we'll have to do an inspired by. We'll do some fan art. Those are fun too. Pro asks question, Mike, do you have time? I know nanomeshes can hold UVs at the object they spawn on also has UVs. I thought this was the same for insert brushes. It should be. You know, just to make sure I'm not lying to you, I'm going to do, because I know I've seen this before. Here we go. We got two of them for you. So when in doubt, what I like to do is just Google Ask ZBrush and then your question, and almost always Joseph Drust has covered anything sort of technical or anything that's kind of like a strange little, like a development type thing usually, and I would say UVs and insert mesh brushes certainly falls into that. So how can I create insert mesh brush that contains UV coordinates? I'll link you to that one. And then another one, how can I get IMM brushes to preserve UVs and polypaint? So that'll do both. I have notes on this. I just want to make sure I don't lie to you. If I had to guess, you're going to want to make sure that it has UVs. Yeah, like you said, the object has UVs too. Huh. Yeah, it's doable. It is doable. Yeah, give those two videos a shot, and I guess let me know if you have any questions, and then we can actually step through the videos if we need to. Kane asks, hey Mike, are you a freelancer or work a full-time job? I work so many jobs. What do I do? So I work at Certain Affinity full-time as a principal artist here in Austin, Texas, and then I do classes for CG Master Academy. We're in the middle of a, what's it called? ZBrush for concept and iteration class that we do. It's kind of just a blast course of ZBrush to kind of get you up and running and get your ideas out quickly. Kind of like we're doing today, is just having a little bit of fun. Let me see, streaming. kind of like this, is just kind of getting, we take you through the ZBrush class and we do something fun and kind of get your ideas out, and then we talk about refining and all these different techniques to kind of, it's less about development and more about getting fast in ZBrush so that you can create cool stuff and then decide if you want to go, the concept route or the development route, and I don't lock it down either. I don't say we're going to model a gun for 6 weeks. It's like you can model whatever you want. You can model people, you can model accessories for people, and that's usually what I do because I'm a character artist by trade-ish, but I kind of leave it up to them. And then I also work at Gemini School of Visual Arts. I teach there, and then I do kind of freelancey stuff. I do stuff on the side. We have some exciting stuff coming out, so keep your eyeballs peeled for my YouTube channel mid-March. We'll have some cool stuff for you guys. Hey, Hugo, thanks for showing up. Huffy Chips asks, hey, Mike, how do you quickly pull out thickness to a mesh again? If it's a simple mesh, let me turn off live Boolean here. Kind of depends. If it's a simple mesh and, let's see, make polymesh 3D, delete hidden, and you just need to do something like this where you can Q-mesh a polygroup, or you can extrude a polygroup all, and this is just with your ZModeler brush, BZM. You can do something like this. Now, I wouldn't suggest doing this on like a Dynamesh or something that has a lot of resolution. Always remember, if you pull inwards, you're going to have to flip those normals. That's under your display properties down here. But you can do that. If it is a more complex mesh, like say we Dynamesh this, and now, okay, let's talk about this too. So if I go through here and I mask this side out here, and you want to get some thickness out of this mesh, that would be a subtool extraction. And you can kind of extract through here. If you want to smooth out those borders on the fly, you can just change out the open circle and maybe crank it up a little bit, and that'll kind of start smoothing those borders out. And if you're happy with this, you can hit accept, and now you have a polygroup here. Now, when I did that, I got 2 meshes. So why that happened was when I'm using masking, and I'm like, okay, I'm masking this side. Because my brush width is bigger than this thickness of the mesh, it's going to mask both sides. If you want to stop that, hold down Control, go to Auto Masking, turn on Backface Masking, and now you'll just get a one-side mask. Now, this isn't a deal breaker. It's not a huge deal. All you got to do is say, now, if you try and go the polygroup, let's turn on double real quick. Polygroup route, I guess it works. They are different polygroups, but what you can also do, what I would probably end up doing, is I'll just grab a little piece of this back one, do Control-Shift-A, Control-Shift-Drag to invert, and then delete hidden. So they're not vert welded, you can get rid of it still, but just something to look out for. Yeah, it is very Blizzard style. It's kind of chunky and stuff, but you know what? We can go in with details and refine it, and when we go into Painter, the treatment, the texture treatment we give it, the material treatment we give it, will kind of sell more of a hyper-realistic quality. What workflow do you use to make fingernails? Extrude and Q-mesh. Let me answer that question first while I'm sitting here. So when you do, what's a good example? I'm trying to think what a good example might be. Yeah, this hand. So I'm going to take this hand here, and we're going to go ahead and delete hidden. So for example, if I want to extrude, let's go ahead and get rid of this one. Let's say I want to make a glove, and I go through here and I go Q-mesh all polygons, and I start dragging this out, and it's like, okay, it's working, but you're going to see it's doing some really wacky stuff over here. The reason why we say it's doing wacky stuff is because Q-mesh functionality is we can Q-mesh single poly, and it's a feature, so you can Q-mesh this one out, and as we Q-mesh this one out, see how it gets sticky through here? That's really cool. That's actually very, very useful as you're going through here, and you can also just pull through a mesh and delete stuff. So that functionality, which is very cool, can sometimes run into issues where if they start sticking together when you don't want them to, that's a bad thing. So that's when you're going to want to switch over to extrude all polygons, and then they won't get sticky, because extrude is just a simple extrusion. We can extrude a single poly here, and then as we extrude this one, they're just completely separate. They don't want to interact with each other. As far as fingernails goes, I don't really know that I have a great workflow for fingernails. If I did fingernails on that Commander. So for one of my CGMA classes, hold on. We ended up modeling, go to my profile here. So we ended up modeling, or I ended up modeling along with them, this guy right here. And so if we scroll down, and the whole making of this guy, not an in-depth making of him, but you can kind of see the process I used to make this guy. So he has, I'm trying to think of the last time I made fingernails for somebody. So something like this, where you kind of go in and you're just sculpting and you're kind of getting the basic shape for your fingernails on there. Now what you could probably do is do like again, a topology brush here. Let's go ahead and do, okay, so you could try going through here and say, let's just do, you could go across every fingernail like this. Let's go split mask points. And let's go ahead and extrude this polygroup out. All polygons, so we'll give it some thickness. That's one way you could do it, and then you would just do that on every fingernail, or you could make an insert mesh brush. Like once you get this all nice and ready to go, you can do B, create insert mesh, new, and then you can just drag this fingernail out as needed. Of course, if you want to embed a little bit, go over here to depth and drag that down, so you can kind of embed these fingernails a little bit better. Or if you want it to match a little bit closer, what you might consider is using our trusty friend called ZRemesher. So you can go through here and you can say, let's duplicate this hand off, and I'm just going to mask, actually let's subdivide this up a little bit more. I'm going to mask this area where I want my fingernail. And we're going to hit Control W, and I'm going to go ahead and delete lower, isolate this, delete hidden. Let's go ahead and clean up those edges with our masking, mask border, invert that, and we'll go ahead and do a deformation polish by feature open circle. I'll kind of clean those edges up, and now we can do a ZRemesh depth size down to 0.5, and that'll go ahead and just give you the topology you want, and just keep hitting half until you get down to something you want. You can help it out too for the overall shape, so that'll go ahead and give you the curve you're looking for. Yeah, something like that. And now you can do a Q-mesh or an extrude and call that your fingernail, and then duplicate that around or do that on every finger. Obviously take more time than I do. Do a better job than that, but that'd probably be what I'd give a shot, maybe. Chang asks, when you're using Dynamesh to block out a clay concept, at what Dynamesh resolution you'll use ZRemesher and Swiss to sub-D levels? That's a good question. I try to stay as low as I can, so while I'm blocking in a character like this, you know, when I'm doing anatomy stuff or anything, I would stay in Dynamesh as long as I could, because I can always get details in Dynamesh, but when I'm ready to do my final sculpt with like super high resolution detail wrinkles and pore detail and stuff like that, and I know I'm not going to be adding anything or really pushing or stretching any polygons out, then I'll do a ZRemesh. So it kind of depends, but usually I'll work as low as I possibly can on the Dynamesh and then slowly add resolution, and then at the very end I'll just ZRemesh it and do my detail stuff. Is there a way to make creases actual edge loops? Oh, yes, you can. That's really cool functionality. So for example, and I use this sometimes, let's go ahead and start with a star here, polymesh star. We're going to go down to the very bottom here to initialize, and we'll make a Q cube. And we'll go ahead and we'll turn on X symmetry, and we'll use our ZModeler brush to alt paint some of this stuff, and we'll make kind of a shape here. And so once we got the shape and we go, okay, I want to bevel all these edges. Well, how I would do that is I would use our trusty, and I have videos on this on my YouTube channel, obviously. You can like do a crease tolerance and then turn on dynamic, and that'll show you what it'll look like. And we do like a crease level of 2 or a smooth subdiv of 3, and that'll kind of start, oops, crease level of 3, smooth subdiv of 4. That'll start kind of beveling your edges like this. Or alternatively, because this is so sharp, this is where I would use something, let's do this. So if I go here, and we'll just do this old bridge, bridge connected polys, circle, specified curvature of 100, resolution of 8, aligned to normal triangle sides. And now I can just quickly put in stuff like, we gotta wait, come on, where is it? There it is. And now we'll do another crease. So we can start getting stuff like this, nice and smooth. If you are doing just hard surface stuff, instead of doing a smooth, or in conjunction or in addition to doing smooth, you can also do QGrid. So you can drop in QGrid and change your coverage here, and you can add bevels there, and then you can go through here. And here's some more of that QMesh functionality. Let's go to Insert Single Edge Loop, and we'll go to QMesh Single Poly. So as I pull this up and down, I can just pull through, and then I can pull up, and you're going to see it start snapping to those increments here. That's under your align 10th step. If we do align half step, that'll go in half or full, in half or full. So you can kind of start modeling like that. And then if we hit D for dynamic, that's going to give us a preview with our QGrid. So you can bevel like that. Now, let's say you didn't want to do either of those for some reason, and you want to just go through here and you want to crease. And that's under your crease menu here, geometry crease. We dropped our crease tolerance down to 42. Just to grab most of those angles, we can hit D to kind of preview that. Let's turn up smooth subdiv. Something like this. So this is what we're getting with our dynamic preview. However, you can also, if you go over here to your bevel under the crease, you have a bevel width. So every one of those creases will get a bevel width that you can change. It'll have to resolve itself, so it might get a little bit funky. You might need to go through here and collapse some edges with ZModeler, but you can add a poly loop with your creasing. That's useful sometimes. Hugo says, can you tell us what the open circle does for options? I see options use a circle and everything. It kind of depends on what the tool is. The one that I see the most is, so for example, if we go over here to the sphere, make polymesh 3D, and we hold down, we mask this out, and then we do an extraction, and we say, you know what, let's turn off smoothness, and we'll do an extraction so it's very lumpy. And we can say accept. So here's our extraction. I'm going to pull this front part out even more. So we're going to QMesh polygroup all. I'm going to hold down shift and just pull along that surface normal. So you're going to see we have this object here. And if I go over here, go to my deformation menu, I have polish by features, close circle. If we do close circle, it's going to maintain my forms pretty well. See how it's nice and those kind of stay, but it's smoothing those lumps in there. So that's the close circle option. If we go to open circle on this one, it's going to polish the heck. It's not going to retain my forms, but it's really going to smooth it out really nicely. So that's one of the examples of close holes, open hole. It kind of depends on the polish stuff. Those are similar between them all. One retains your forms, one just polishes the overall mesh and smooths it indiscriminately. There's some other options in there, but you'd have to call those out. But like same thing for extraction, the smooth here, if we do closed hole, that's going to retain your forms. If you do open circle, when you extract, it's going to smooth it out even more. Okay, Sylvia asks, after picking the ZModeler brush, how do you get the whole window? So we pick the ZModeler brush, BZM, and then how do you get the whole window? I'm not sure I follow. John uses fingernails, mask, invert, pull out with a move brush. Oh, that's a good point. You know, I was thinking making separate fingernails, but if you're just sculpting fingernails, you can just mask and move out from that mask or inflate from that mask. Brush samples, fast samples on surface options. Oh boy. No, I'm not sure what that does. I'd have to Google that one. Off the top of my head, I'm not sure. There are no tutorials for making gloves of any kind. We should do that. Let me put that on my streaming topics. We can make gloves. Gloves are fun. Ooh, that reminds me. There's something else I need to cover really quickly. There we go. Hey, Blah Blue, thanks for showing up. Thanks, everybody. Zignog asks, hey Mike, maybe it's off topic, but what's the usual deadline for a medium complex model in studios you're working with as a 3D artist? Is there kind of a standard for time management expected as a 3D artist? Kind of, yeah, that's a big question, or a broad question, I should say. And really, I've been on the visual development side of production for so long that I'm not sure, because my deadlines are usually like 4 hours. We need a character in a game, you got half a day. Or clean up that model, you have a day. So that's my deadlines. But as far as doing a full production model in game all the way through in a pipeline, if the workflow has been a while since I've done that, I would say those aren't medium complex models. I would say get as fast as you can, because the faster you get it done, the better you look. But also I've noticed that if you can get stuff done fast, that kind of frees you up for time for a little bit of experimentation, which is very useful when you're in this industry, because if you keep your head down and you're just constantly creating, and you're using your same workflows and techniques, you're going to kind of start lagging behind after a few years. So always try to get stuff done as quickly as possible with good quality, and then save a little bit of time for yourself when you can to kind of try some stuff out or try different techniques with the tools that you're using. The window where you can choose faces or edges or all the options. Oh, okay, yeah, that window. Okay, so we got the ZModeler brush selected, and then you just hover over whatever component you want to play with. So for example, a face, and then hold down the space bar. And I think you might be able to also right click if you're into that. You can right click, or I just use hold down space bar, and then when I let go of space bar, it disappears. So right click or space bar. Hey Thomas, thanks for showing up. Cool. Yeah, and if you are a rookie in ZBrush, the Z Classroom has a lot of really good videos, and then also my YouTube channel, I'll link you guys again, has an intro to ZBrush part 1, part 2, part 3. ZBrush 4R8 What's New is another good one. The Sci-fi Pistol series takes the ZBrush 4R8 features and kind of runs you through them in a more specific way. I'm trying to think what else might be good for you guys. There's a lot of stuff. Stylized modeling goes over some really basic functionality. We got the Pokeball on there. So, cool. Henny says, I've sent you a pic to model via Facebook. Is that my business Facebook? Cool. Thanks for showing up, everybody. Let me see here. So we can open image, a new tab here. So we'll be doing some of this type of thing on, I mean, the gun model itself. There's go to my Sci-fi Pistol series that'll walk you through how to make the gun. And this ornamentation and stuff we'll be talking about on our book when we get there. It's because we're definitely, whoops, let's turn everything on. Got a solo mode here. So we got our book. When we do ornamentation and gilding on this thing, that'll be something we definitely do. So before I do that, I had another question come up that was kind of interesting to me. So we have this kind of model here where we want to wrap a coil around a torus, basically. So I think this will work. This is the feedback I gave him. I hope I wasn't lying to him. So we're going to start with a cylinder 3D here, and we're going to go into polymesh. Let me stop this here. Do you use the Stingray shader anymore, or is that fading out? I use the Stingray shader when I'm in Maya, but I don't really preview stuff in Maya. Like, Maya is just kind of my conduit to Engine. So, I don't need to really see PBR in Maya. It's interesting, but it's not anything that's I need to do for my workflow. So let's go ahead and start making our torus here. I'm going to change this to like 15 on my X and Y size, and I'm also going to use my H divide. H divides are fine. Let's do our V divides here. So I'm really going to kind of, I don't have a twist in here, do we? We have an inner radius. That's kind of cool if you want to do pipes. But, so we have this thing here. So I'm going to go up here and say make polymesh 3D. So let's think about this. If I go through here and I go to my deformations twist, and you don't have to go into your deformations here. I tend to want to because it gives me more options, but you can just go to your regular old deformations here. And as long as you're down the world axis, you can go in here and you can say twist here along the Z, nope, along the Y. There you go. So you can kind of twist along the Y. Speaking of, this is how I did the rifle barreling in my Sci-fi Pistol series. So we use that. Let me see. Insert meshes, QQ, barrel rifling. So if you go through here and you twist a cylinder, and then you do polygroups, and then you, come on, Mike, you're faster than that. You can inflate along rows and columns, and then you can twist it, and then you can use that as a live Boolean mesh that'll go through, and then you can use that to kind of rifle your barrels. So might be of interest to you, but we're not doing that today. What we're doing today is we're using these twists, hopefully, to wrap like copper wire around a torus here. So like I said before, you can use that deformation twist, or you can go over here to twist, and I think this will work too. Yeah, you can just use this to twist, and you can just you can say accept, and now you can say twist it up, and then you can just continue twisting that if you need to. And we'll say, okay, that's good. We can also do the bend arc if we want to make this into a torus. So now we have a twist along a torus. You can also, I believe, let's see if this actually works. Let's grab a primitive torus here. So we're going to grab, what am I looking for here? Spiral? No. We're looking for helix? No. I know we got, there it is, ring, not a torus. So in these initialized settings, we do have a twist. Yeah, you can twist this one. It gets a little bit wacky up here, but we can also try this one too. Is it twisting? Is it twisting? Yeah, they're kind of lazy twists though. I want more of a, I guess this is a lazy twist as well. So you would have to twist the hell out of this object. Let's keep doing that. Let's say, give me a second here. And it might even be easier over here in deformation just to keep doing this one here so we don't get locked. We can just keep ramp. Okay, so that's what we like. And now let's do a bend arc. So use the primitive, or you can use this method. And now that we have this method here, we can hold down Control Shift. We can go into Select Lasso, or we can just do, well, first we need to get rid of those caps. So there's caps sitting in here. I'm going to hold down Control Shift, and we're going to select those caps. You can see them, and then invert that selection, delete, whoops, delete hidden. That's geometry modified topology, delete hidden. And now on these two, we can go to polygroup, polyloop, hold down and then tap Alt. Let's make that a little more obvious. Hold down Control Shift, take these two, delete hidden, and we can even weld those points up if we want to. You can go into your geometry modified topology, weld points, and crank that distance up maybe. No, we're gonna do it manually. We can go through here with our ZModeler brush, and we can do stitch 2 points here to here, here to here, here to here. So now it's like a little twisted piece of geometry there. We'll turn on double so we can kind of see it a little bit better. And now that we have that, we can go over here to our stroke menu, and we'll say, under the curve here, we'll say curve, frame our polygroups, and then we can do B, C, brush, curve, tube, and we can just drop in a tube along that, and then that should wrap around our original torus that we would have here. So if we duplicate this off, and we go all the way back to where we just had our twisted torus. So now we have this kind of wrapping around. Now it's not a tight wrap. Like a, and I guess if you twisted it more, it would eventually get to that point, but that's a lot of twisting. But you know what I do like about this? If I go back to the brush here, we can have kind of, I mean, that's a cool design element. So we could have this kind of thing wrapping around. We could also make that into kind of like a dragon or a snake if we wanted to. So for example, let's say, whoa, we go down to, let's just grab this cylinder 3D here. We'll start with this, and we'll say, hey, make polymesh 3D. And we got one end of the snake, we got the middle end of the snake, we got the head end of the snake. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do a quick group by normals. And just for demonstration purposes, brush, insert, body parts, M, we'll grab the dog head. And we're going to use you, buddy, just for demonstration purposes. We're going to use Mesh Fusion to kind of stick those things together. So we'll call that the head of our snake here. So now what we can do is we can say, let's divide this into 3 things. If we hit Control W, that'll make it all one polygroup. Group mask, clear mask is actually what it's doing. And let's go ahead and we'll just do a select rectangle. So we'll take the top part and we'll take this bottom part. We'll try to make them somewhat spaced out correctly. And now we'll hit B, create insert mesh new. So we have our insert mesh brush here. Looks like a little Pez dispenser. And then we're going to turn on curve mode. And now we can start dragging out like a tri-curve brush. Oh, you know what? Let's do the opposite. Let's go brush, create insert mesh, new, curve mode. There we go. And now in order for this thing to be welded together, you got to go down here to your brush, modifiers, and now we can do weld points. Let's turn up the curve res a little bit, and now we've got a little snaky guy. And if we want to taper that tail a little bit, go back up here to stroke, and we'll do a fall off. Oh, not that much. Let's do thick to thin. There we go. So we can kind of drag out a little snaky guy, and he goes from a thin tail to a thicker head here. And let's make that a little bit thicker. So if we wanted to, we could go back to this here. Let's go back to that strip we were looking at here. And let's get rid of this thing. Delete hidden. And then again, we can do our frame. Wait for it. Wait for it. I'm looking for here. Frame mesh. And then with that new brush we just made, now we can wrap our little snaky guy around that. Of course, I need to change. I'm going to change some of his settings so he wraps a little bit nicer here. So we'll go ahead and delete that curve function, but just for kind of base functionality, let's do a hide point, split hidden, and now we can just look at our little snaky guy. So he'll actually wrap around that torus shape like so. So maybe we can do something like that. Lulu asked, I always watch your videos first time streamed live. No specific question, love it to you. Well, thanks. Thanks for showing up, and hopefully you'll get something out of this. Or, I don't know, sometimes it's just fun to see stuff get made. Iray asks, how can I delete or edit insert mesh from the list? Delete or edit an insert mesh from the list? Like if you have brush insert clothing and you want to delete or edit some of these. The editing part's a little bit trickier, but the delete part's really easy. You can just go up here to brush, and then you can go over here to create, and you can do, you can copy one mesh and then you can paste it. You can go to delete a mesh and you can just delete them out of here, just whatever selected, you can delete it. You can edit brush credit pretty easily, but as far as like, I want to edit this thing in particular, what you'd have to do is hit maybe W and select that snap assembly to just kind of steal it. And then you could go, okay, I want to make edits here. So we'll go ahead and do an insert single edge loop, and then we'll bevel this edge loop complete, and then we'll Q mesh this poly group. And it's like, okay, this is the thing I really wanted. So then you got to go back to the brush BI, brush insert clothing, and then you would do, you could do create insert mesh and append it, and that'll go ahead and throw it over here. And then if you don't want this one anymore, you can select it and then hit delete. So that's one way you could edit a mesh like that. You can also use, if you want to just take all of these brushes here, this is probably what I would do, is you go to Z plugin, IMM extractor, and you could say, I want to take all these and extract them to different subtools here. So now we have all of those brushes as brushes here, and then you could just go through here and edit all of these as you want, as needed. And then all you got to do is hit B, create insert multi-mesh, and that'll go ahead and give you a new multi-mesh. Now, if you do edit these BI, clothing, industrial parts, did I mess it up? There it is, clothing. If you do edit a brush that comes in with ZBrush, what you're going to have to do, give me a second here, you're going to have to go to brush, save as, and that's going to be under your ZBrush data, Z startup, no, Z startup, no, Z data. So you're going to go to C, program files, pixel, ZBrush, right, Z data, brush presets, and then you're going to want to save it in here. Anything that's ZBrush loads natively with ZBrush, if you want to update those brushes, that's where you have to save those. If you want to make your own, you can do just ZBrush 408 Z startup brush presets, and then you can load up your own presets that start up on start and don't touch their originals. And you can also go to ZBrushes, and you can throw it in here, and then whenever you hit the comma key, you can just pull in brushes through this brush menu. Just double click them. So stuff you don't use all that often, you can go through here, like the military stuff, and we can grab, you know, military brushes that we've made over the years. that kind of thing. Axel says, Pepper Dragon Evolution. It is, Aaron's always bugging me for making pepper, and it's like, wow, fiber mesh is the way I would do it, but I'm not good at fur. Like, I can do it quick, but I'm not good at tweaking and making fur look really good. Senso asks, is there an easy way to create pipes, especially ones that need to be connected accurately at both ends? So this goes into, we did cover this. There's some really cool tools you can use to control curve brushes a lot. I'm going to go to my live stream highlights here. Oh, you know what? I haven't edited them yet. Oh, okay. Here. So if we go to my live stream full episodes, I'm going to link you. Well, you saw how I controlled that curve with that poly group just recently. So when we did the torus and we wrapped it, we had the two poly groups and then we just passed a curve through here. If you want to get fancier, what you can do is let's bring our book back. And let's say we want to do a very specific, like snake wrapping around this thing. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to append a ZSphere. We're going to take the ZSphere, go into transparency mode so I can see it. We're going to hit W, and we're going to scale this thing down. So we're going to wrap this book in a very specific way. So we're going to put one here, and then we're going to hit Q, hold down Shift. Oh, I should mention, we're doing a Q brush giveaway. And it's going to happen whenever Aaron comes up here. Whoops, and pick somebody randomly from my feed. We're going to say the keyword is, let's make something we can spell. Let's make it, let's say the keyword is rusty lock. I'm gonna write it down so I don't forget. Sorry, two keywords, rusty lock. So when I call out, hey, you're gonna win something, say rusty lock, and then I think Aaron will pick somebody. So, and that's going to be $50 at QBrush. Spend it on whatever you want. Not my stuff necessarily, just there's tons of stuff on QBrush. So you can go through here and you can start wrapping with these things, these Z-spheres. You can start being very specific with these locations. And this is why one of the reasons I like Z-spheres, if you hold down Shift, that'll make it all the same width. And you can go through here. You can hold down Q, or you tap Q, and you can kind of just start wrapping these things. If you want to make these a little bit nicer, you can add little divisions between them, and you can get more precise, get as precise as you want on this placement. So let's say this is what we want wrapped around our book here. So now that we have that, and we want to do very precise placements for the start and stop, what we can do is we can do the old method we showed you, not the old method, the manual method, which is go to, if you hit A, you're going to see that's our adaptive skin. So then you can append this skin Z-sphere here, go into solo mode, and it's like, okay, let's get rid of these caps here. And this is also in an Ask ZBrush, by the way, if you ever want to follow up on this thing. Hit Control W, make it all in polygroup, and then we can do a polygroup polyloop. So this one, grab these ones, delete hidden, and then we can do our, what we just did, which is our whole stroke. And if you want to smooth these out a little bit, go ahead and do, we can do a sort polish by features. We talked about open circle. You can just kind of polish those out nicely and it'll kind of smooth it out. You can also go in here with your move brush and kind of just tweak these things just a little bit. And then we're going to go to curve functions. We're going to frame that polygroup mesh, and then we'll just use our trusty Pez dispenser here to drop our pipe, or our snake in this case, along that curve. And if you want to embed it more, that's where you go into the depth brush setting here. Depth here. And that'll kind of embed it a little bit better. Now, if you want to skip all that stuff, you can go to, oops, stupid. Append a Z-sphere. So again, draw out your Z-sphere. I'm not going to do anything. I'm just going to show you basically what we did here. You can also scale these things down individually if you want to. So again, make your Z-sphere curve however you want. Now, instead of doing an adaptive skin, there's a plugin, kind of a script you can download as long as you have a start and an end point. and I'll show you what that is in just a second. You can go to put that in your Z plugins. It's called Curves Helper. You can hit Copy ZSphere Chain, and then you can go to a tool that you want to add that ZSphere chain to. Any of these will be fine. We'll put on this book star here. And then we can do Create Curve, and that'll go ahead and create the curve for you. And then along that curve, you can go ahead and just drop your curve here. So that's another way to really control where your object's going to go along that curve. And where that is, let's see. Useful small scripts and macros for ZBrush 4R8. On this thread here, you're going to see Curves Helper, and then you can install it from there. So have fun with that one. Oh, and while you have a curve, you can change this at any time. This is one of the things I love ZBrush. You can go brush, insert. If you want to change that to, say, I don't know, scales, you can just go through here and tap this and just update it with whatever you want. Or if you want it to be, hit M, stitches, or a hose. Here's a specific hose that you can use. Fisher asked, do you use high-res meshes in Substance or Mari when you're texturing, or do you go lower? I usually bake to lower because everything I do is a real-time solution. I don't do a lot of, I mean, even cinematic stuff, so I would drop down to a higher, lower res and then bake off from there. Usually. Hey, Stimpback, thanks for showing up. Hugo says, a long time ago I saw you use a notebook as a mobile workstation. Been thinking about changing my desktop to something more mobile. I would say, and you should be able to, I still use it. Whenever I go teaching, I use my Alienware 17. It's almost like 5 years old now, but it has 32 gig of RAM. It has a, you're going to want a decent processor and a decent amount of RAM for ZBrush specifically. But if you're doing other stuff that's going to tax the GPU, a nice GPU is nice. So you kind of just, really, I hate to say it, but like in this industry, we use all the hardware. There's not any one specific piece of hardware I'm like, be stingy with that. Like even your power supply, you have to get a good power supply because you want, to have good power going to your GPU and your CPU and your RAM. And you need a good motherboard for those nice things. And then I don't think there's really one thing, unfortunately, you can skimp out on. But, dial in your budget and just get the top. But I would say the base amount of RAM that they use for like video game machines usually isn't great, because, when you're playing video games, 8 gig is enough, or 16 gig. I would go a little bit more if you can. Within reason. If it's not in your budget, it's not in your budget, and you can make it work. ZBrush does pretty good. Other programs, maybe not so much, but made a cool character head in ZBrush. Want to know a cool render of it. Don't know how to use hair and beard. Any good solutions? Yeah, go to Fiber Mesh. Let me close some of these windows down. On my Pavlovich workshop, let me keep this open here. And we've done hair a little bit too on my channel, but the one that comes to mind is this one here, Broadcast 6. We go over a lot of different hair solutions and rendering. We don't go over hair cards because that's a whole other development thing that's not my favorite thing in the world to do. But we talk a bit about that. How many polygons a character should be for selling on stocks? Kind of depends on the game. For a fighting game, 100,000. For a first-person shooter with a reasonable amount of characters on screen, 50,000. For an MMO or an RPG where you get 50 characters on screen, not that many. How do you make fabric patterns? We'll get into that when we do the book. And also probably, I might do a little bit in ZBrush, but probably I'll end up doing most of that in the texture. How are we doing on time? Okay, got about an hour. Got to get this book done. When you append a ZSphere inside a tool and you hit Q and draw another, how do you make it snap to the surface? It should snap automatically. So if we go back to our book, where is our book? Did we get rid of it? You know what? Here's what we're going to do. Preferences, initialize ZBrush. And then I'm going to documents, turn that range down. And then we're going to go to load tool, book. And then if you're not aware of this functionality, you should be able to, if we go to append, a Z-sphere. And we have this like scaled down a little bit. As long as you have something visible on your screen, you should be able to hit Q, and that'll snap automatically to your surface. And then no matter where you draw the next one, if you hold down Shift, it'll constrain it. So now you can just use Z-spheres to kind of snap to your surface like this. And then if you want to start from the last Z-sphere chain, there we go. So that's an easy way to kind of get things to snap. So that should be just the functionality that it has. So let's go out of transparency mode. That's a little bit easier. Good point. Also, if you're so inclined, you could turn this, let's go back to just our Z-sphere here. You can also use something called Z-sketching. So we'll go to Z-sketch, go into Edit Sketch, and now we can just sketch Z-spheres on our object. So this is a really cool way to kind of make roots or like little straggly little mossy kind of goopy things. Like that. I mean, you can use Z-sketching for anything, but if we hit A on this one, you'll see we get an adaptive, or this is called a unified skin. And then you can use this to kind of sculpt from. Thanks for bringing that up. Approach creating a cold 1849 barrel. I managed to do a Dynamesh and clipping, but it took me some time. Probably with ZRemesher, if it's anything really, if it's a complex shape, but or ZModeler. Let me see here. Yeah, I would, you know what, I would use, go to my YouTube channel. I would use the same set stuff I did for my Sci-fi pistol series, which is a combination of ZModeler and Booleans. That's probably your best bet. And you could block it out easily too using stuff like, what's that called? Not Lightbox, it's called Geometry. Is it under Subtool? What am I looking for? It's not under that at all. It's under, oh, you know what? It's because we have a Z-sphere selected. I'm like, where is it? It is called Shadowbox. You can use Shadowbox to kind of block stuff into it. It's kind of fun, and then you can use that as kind of a 3D concept to kind of make your final and make stuff like that. You can export hair to V-Ray or Keyshot. You can, for sure. Cool. For an FPS game, what about a gun? How many polys should that be? If it's a first-person view, many as you can get, because you want that to look really nice. You know, usually there's budgetary concerns, but I don't know, like 20,000, 30,000, depending on how complex it is and how nice it has to look. For third-person view, a lot less. Like for a nice budget, maybe 5K. Yeah, exactly. Thank you, Lulu. Okay, so we got this here. Now, one thing I do want to add to this, hold on, is I want to add some sort of locking mechanism to this side, because again, we're going to put the key into the head and that's going to rotate, and then you're going to take a littler key out, and then you're going to unlock these bindings on the side here. So, you know, in looking at books that have that kind of functionality, let's close some of these windows so I can see my reference here. Something like, do we even have one really? Not really. I don't know, something like this, where you have just like a locking mechanism on the side. And by the way, we're using Quadro reference viewer, Quadro. It's my favorite reference viewer. It's so easy to save presets here. So let's go ahead and model like a rudimentary lock here. So I'm going to go to Alt-E-M, and we're going to say Cube Mid, and I'm going to be modeling this off here. And we do have X, Y, and Z symmetry turned on. So if we go to Transform, we can go down here and we can say, let's just do Y symmetry. And so now we can kind of model the top and bottom lock at the same time. We can do split mask points, and now we're going to just start blocking this in. So we can use Dynamesh too if we want to. We'll stick with ZModeler for a little bit here. So let's go ahead and round. Let's go to Insert Single Edge Loop. We'll clean this up a little bit. And now I'm going to do Insert Multiple Edge Loops. We're going to drop one right down the middle. And then again, we're going to bridge those connected polys in a circle like we did earlier. And, oh, actually, we're going to do it the other way. Let's go to Insert Multiple Edge Loops here. So then we're going to bridge these two. And if you bridge two things, that's another functionality of the ZModeler stuff. So if you bridge these two, let me use my mouse here. bridge these two. These two will be stuck together, which is nice. And then we'll go ahead and bridge these two. Hit Control W, make them all one polygroup here. So you can do that kind of look. But if we want it to rotate, let's do something like this. Okay, so I want that kind of look. And then through here, we're going to kind of scoop this out and then turn this up. So we're going to go say, we can also thin these out a little bit here. Let's go to local sim. So local symmetry, if you have that off, that's going to scale to the world axis. Turn on local symmetry, it'll scale on the local axis of the object. So now we can go through here, and you know what? We can even just model one. We don't need to model in symmetry here. I'm going to hit X to turn off symmetry, delete hidden, so it's just out of the way. So I want to scoop this out and kind of curve this up a little bit. So one way to do that is I can go through here. I can insert multiple edge loops. I can just drop in a couple here. I'm going to mask this part out here. And now I'm just going to kind of pull this down and then pull this down here. And then this one I'm going to rotate up just a little bit. And we'll rotate this one too. And then we can kind of pull these things up. Let's thin this out a little bit. I'm going to do a quick group by normals. And that'll give me a polygroup around here. And then we can just do QMesh polygroup all, hold down shift, and that'll kind of thin that out a little bit. And now if we want to round out this one, we don't have to we don't have to bridge and do a perfect circle. What we can do is we can just do a quick bevel, edge loop complete, and we can kind of just pull this out and then hold on Control Alt and then W, Alt tap this one. We can kind of pull this out like this. So that'll be kind of our swoopy version of that. Now if I hit D, you're going to see this is the shape we're getting. I'm going to go ahead and just do a crease tolerance here. And we'll do a crease level of, say, 3. Smooth, so do a 4. Let's crease level of 2. There we go. So this is the shape we're kind of getting, which is okay. Although now that I look at it, what I need to do is clip that bottom. So I want this to curve in, but this bottom I want to be flat. So I'm just going to use a clip curve brush. Clip curve, I said. And just clip that along the bottom there. And now we can slide this edge loop complete to get it out of that mess. Okay, so now we've got that basic shape here. We want to put a hole through the middle here. So I'm going to say, hold down Alt, and let's say it's going to go from here to about here-ish. So we can take this one, and we can just say QMesh and pull this through, like so. So now we have a hole through here, and let's also clean this up a little bit. And I kind of feel like I should put a, yeah, it's fine. It's fine. It'll look fine, smooth that out. I don't need to spend too much time on that stuff. So we've got a hole through here now. So now through this hole, we're going to put, I think I'm looking at this, and this is a thing I'm modeling, something like this. So we've got that going. And then if we want to, we can do a split hole, or we can just use Booleans for that. If we want, we can say, oh, you know what we could do on this object specifically? Let's hit, we will go back into X symmetry, but where I have just one mesh now, I'm going to do a quick mirror and weld. Oh, you know, we won't be able to do that. Hold on. Okay, so if I have X symmetry turned on locally, we can now go through here, and we can, as I'm moving this side will update. So now, let's go through here. I'm going to do a split point, and then I'm going to do a split ring, and then I'm going to do a QMesh polygroup all. And this is probably overkill for how small this thing is going to be on the screen, but you can go through here, and let's do another crease tolerance. Oh, you know what? We may need to add a control loop around there because that's going to smooth terribly. We'll figure that out. And when in doubt, just use live Booleans. So you can do something like that maybe. We're not going to, but you can if you'd like. And then we're going to put a ring around this thing, like that little clamp bar here. So let's do this. We'll keep it simple. I'm going to do an insert cylinder 12 from my custom menu here. And you know what? Let's grab that side one here. So we can just put one right down the middle. And then we can do a split mass points. And I'm just going to I'm going to have solo off. So I'm just going to hold down Shift, turn that on so we can work on just those two here. And hold down, tap X, go to the middle, and then tap X again. So now we're right down the middle, and it'll be about that thin. And now we can scale this thing out like so. And that'll be kind of the crossbar. Now if I take this one and I control drag out a copy, now this one will be the one that's down here. And now if I want to bridge these things together, you know what, let's go ahead, I want to make these the same size. So let's delete hidden and then hold down control and then just drag out a copy here. So now we've got these two copies. Now I want to bridge these two together to get that nice curve here. So on this side here, we're going to do a delete flat island. We can go, you are deleted, and you are deleted. I guess we could have done flat all. And then we can go through here and we can bridge two holes. Let's try tight round corners. So if I click on this open edge on this hole and then this open edge on this hole, we can kind of dial in that look here. I think will work. And that'll go around, and then we can use this to kind of scale that in. So now when we hit D, that'll be our nice smooth little thing. Those tight corners are kind of bugging me. Let me see if I can do just round corners. Give me a second. I want to give them a little bit of breathing room. A little bit better. And now we can go ahead and scale this in here. You could also do the old trick where you just pass a curve around that. It's kind of up to you. And then for this thing to be latched onto something, well, we're also going to need to put this in here. So let's do this. I'm going to grab this one here, and we're going to grab a cube mid, and we're just going to throw a cube in here. I'm going to drop this cube here. We're going to do a split mass points, and then we're going to thin this out. This is what's going to be kind of poking up out of this here. And then let's do a quick mirror and weld. Local symmetry, mirror and weld across the x-axis? No. Hold on. Yeah, it should be across the x here. Okay, let's turn off x symmetry here. Let's do insert single edge loop and then insert multiple edge loops. So that'll be right down the middle here. Don't know why that happened. So it goes straight to the center here. Okay, so we've got our objects is going to go through here, and then this one, I'm going to hold down Control Alt, and we'll just pull this up, and then on this side here, we'll turn X back on. We're going to mark these, and we'll Q mesh these out. So that'll be kind of our base through here. And then on this top here, we can round that out. I think that'll be fine. Let's give that a shot. So we're going to go to bridge our connected polys here, and then one more time, we're going to do a split, point, and then split ring. And again, if this doesn't work out, we can always use live Boolean, it's not a big deal. And then go ahead and mark these, Q mesh, polygroup ball, pull this through. Q mesh, I said. There we go. So that'll kind of be our little loop here. And then one last thing, if this latch is going to work, you know what? Yeah, these borders are really, let's try this. Delete. W. Okay, our word is rusty lock. Remember that for the giveaway. ZBrush, $50. Let's see. We're going to go to, again, bridge, two holes. I'll just try spline, because I wanted to get it just a little bit more rounded out. Nope, that's not going to work. Arcs and line. There we go. That's the one I'm looking for. Arcs and line, everybody. So once we have this, we can hit D, and now we can, now if we scale this in, it is going to slowly start shrinking these things down. So what we can do is hold down Control Alt, and then you can just move them in so you maintain those curves a little bit better. Okay, we got that, and oh yeah, we got one more base thing here to put. So real quickly, we're going to do a cube mid down the middle, split mask points, and then this thing is going to clamp on the inside here. So we'll take this here and we'll scooch it out to about here. And then this thing's going to have a base, so we're going to go to Insert, Single Edge Loop, and this is all lined up. So we can hold down Alt and then Q-mesh this out. That'll be our base, and that kind of sticks out further. Now, this may or may not work out with what I have planned, so we'll just see how it fits in. But we can now do a bridge connected polys on this side. And then this little overhang here, if we turn on transparency mode, you're going to see we can slide this edge loop complete up, or we should be able to. Turn on ghost so we can click through the object here, so we can slide this up. That'll maintain that. And then through here, we can say maybe do an insert single edge loop here. Now, if you were to do an insert multiple edge loops with interactive elevation, you can like suck that in a little bit, but it does it all around the entire object, so I'm going to keep it simple. And we'll say just put this in, and then we'll bevel that result. And then I'm going to say move this side in like this, and that'll be what kind of fits around that. And then this one here, if we go into, we'll go ahead and crease this, and we do a dynamic subdivision here, and that shouldn't be crease. So we're going to go through here, we're going to crease edge, hold down Alt, and let's do a crease level of 3, smooth subdiv of 4. So we'll get this kind of result here. And then once we have that, I think we're in pretty good shape. We can uncrease these edges here to round that off. We'll keep this like this, or you can also go through here. Let's try creasing edge loop complete. Hold down Alt. We can round those out. I think those are fine though. And then on here, we can also try again, one more time. We'll go to split point, and then split ring. And then on the other side here, for split point, you can just tap, and then for split ring, you can just tap. It'll keep the same settings. And now we can do Q-mesh, polygroup all. But it's going to be all those, so let's go ahead and, whenever I did that split ring, I should have tapped Alt. And now let's do another crease. Let's see how well this works. Okay, that works fine. So something like this. And now we can, uncrease those edges. Some single edges here. Try this maybe. Nah, it's not gonna work. Good enough. So let's bring these two back along with this one here and this one here. We'll hit D, D, D. And on this one, we may need to crease this one. There we go. So that's our basic look. I think we've got everything we need. Of course, if you wanted to, you know what, let's thin this one out a tad. So it's only about yay wide. And now we can bring these ones in. And then those are out of the way of the screw. And that'll probably fit a little bit better. Oh, you know what we also need to do? Let's try, if we go over here to geometry, edge loop, you can hit delete loops. Nope, that's not going to work. Let's try this. I know this will work. Insert single edge loop, and we will just go through here. Okay, and then hold down Control Alt, and we can just, Control Alt, there we go. We can move this back to where it makes a little bit more sense. And now we can still kind of play with this stuff. So if we go here, we turn everything back on. Did I not? Oh, I forgot I didn't rotate that around. So now we have our little lock on the side, and we can make this as fancy as we want to. If we want to just move these subtools around, we can hit W and then turn on this move multiple, and then hold down Control Shift, and we just grab those pieces like this. And if you want more information on this, this is Intro to ZBrush 4R8, what's new. And you should be able to do these, but there's, I guess their pivots are all over the place. So let's do, or let's turn off X. There we go. So turn off X, and then you can kind of put these things as needed, and you can embed them a little bit, like so. It's like that'll go. Let's embed it to about here. I guess that'll stick up a little bit. Something like that. Now, we would have to put big dangly locks on there, But that's good enough for now. If I want to duplicate this off, unfortunately, I can't just drag out a copy. So what I'm going to do is hold down Shift and then shoot that to the bottom. And then I'm going to Alt-tap this one, Shift, shoot it to the bottom. Alt-tap this one, Shift, shoot it to the bottom. I think that's everything. And now I'm just going to merge all these together. That's subtool merge. And now we've got this one here. We can hold down, let's put it here, and then hold down Control, and then this, and then we can put some locks on there eventually. So that'll be our little lock holder. So how much time we got? Let's go through a little bit of questions, and then I'm going to throw this really quickly into Houdini and then get it into Painter, and we can have a little bit of fun in there. Sound good? Any tips for, and you know what? I'm going to save some of these questions just to make sure we get through everything we need to. I'm going to bring up my stream. Since I have limited time in the mornings, unfortunately. If I could do nothing but stream all day and make a living at doing it, I would. But unfortunately, that ain't happening. So we might have to skip some of these, but I will keep them down. If they're not easy. Do you have any tips for filling all the holes inside a Dynamesh object? Something like a single solid block with only the outer details? Filling holes inside a Dynamesh object. Single solid block with only the outer details. Ooh, you'd have to show me an example of that one. I'm not positive on that one. Sorry, Axel. Wish I had a better answer. I'd have to see an example. Cool. Thanks for showing up, Elite. What applications do you think nowadays is the magnum opus of hard surface modeling? All of them. I've seen everybody make really cool stuff in almost every program. Like nowadays, you can extrude and you can crease, and that's hard surface modeling in a nutshell. So, but everybody on this thread, I'm sure, will have really strong opinions on that. Clayman Tube. I got a brand new Wacom Pro Medium. Trouble sizing my brush with a touch ring. Ooh, you know what? I disable everything in my Wacom, unfortunately. I don't use any Wacom hotkeys. I have a keyboard out to the side that I use. Maybe somebody else can help you on that one. Lulu might have an answer there. Thank you, Lulu. Is there a way to buy a license for Instalot if you're a freelance? I don't know. It's been a while since I've looked at their stuff. I hope so. We'll have some Houdini. I'll show you some Houdini stuff here real quick too. Got my leaf insert brush to work as desired. Cool. Awesome. Found a way to make a hole, use a topology brush. Okay. Make a region of the poly group you want to be replaced. Okay, this is what it was. Yeah, there is that functionality. I do remember it. Let's go ahead and do a quick save real quick. But I do want to follow up on this one. So we'll grab our doggy. And then following AK Cheng 888's instructions. So make a region of the poly group you want to be replaced. So we'll say, here's our poly group we want to be replaced. Solo that, oh, that's right, solo that poly group. Draw topology, BTO. So we don't want this topology, we want this beautiful topology. After finished with the topology, tap the mesh. There we go, and that updates it. Now I would imagine also if you go over here to geometry and turn off the smooth modifier, that'll keep this geometry, topology brush geometry, the same. And then, not the same, but it won't smooth it out. So if you have SMT on and you do it, it'll smooth it. If you have SMT off, it won't smooth it, so use that to your advantage. Thank you. Thank you, Cheng. I knew there was something in there. So you have to isolate the subtool. That's yeah, so Michael, if I want an object to have specific measurements and millimeters for 3D printing, how do I achieve that? Oh, I got the videos for you. Joseph Dress to the rescue again. It would be scale. There we go. So as ZBrush Scale Master and Export Scale Slider do. I'll give you both of these, but Scale Master Pixelogic ZBrush 4R3 I think is the one you want to use. Or is it, hold on, no, there's actually a better one because he actually does it for his face. It would be, there we go. So Ask ZBrush Scale Master, multiple tools, unify without affecting scale and model, as export scale slider do. Use Scale Master. and then go to, I guess it would be this one. Real world measurement inside of ZBrush. No. How can I correctly size imported scan data? This is one I was looking for. This one here, it's going to timestamp it. Unfortunately, let me just share this. Share, copy. There you go. That'll walk you through how to do that within ZBrush. Is this your first tutorial using Houdini? No, we've done a little bit of Houdini work on my channel specifically. Hold on. If you want, and it was fun. It was so we have a Houdini and ZBrush kind of started. This has the Houdini Gaussian shatter and doing vector displacements in Houdini as opposed to ZBrush, so you can use an arbitrary mesh and project that to a plane. Is a really good one. And then we got a little shatter and stuff in there. So we've done a little bit of Houdini work. This will be different than that, but oh, sorry, Axel. Dang, you might have to send it to my Facebook. I know my night bot is overly protective. Cool, cool, cool. Cool. All right, let's do it. Let's do it. Let's do it. What is topological button located in auto masking for? Topological button located in auto masking. Oh, that's for topology. So for example, this dog's mouth is closed, but they're not vert welded. So if you go in here with the move brush, it's just going to move all those polygons around. But if you go into the brush, auto masking, topology, now it's only going to move, if we change that range down to like 1.5, it's only going to move non-vert welded, so you can move the upper lip separate from the bottom lip. And if you go to BM, move topological, that's what it's doing, is it's turning this button on and off with settings in there. So let's have a little bit of fun, hopefully, with this book here. So what I'm going to do is we're going to save this. I'm going to save incrementally because you never know when I might need to go back. And we're going to go ahead and throw this into Substance Painter. We'll have a little bit of fun just doing some previs work. So what I'm going to do is anything that's the same material, I'm going to hit, let's just do, I don't need to do a poly group necessarily, but I will do like a fill object. So all this metal stuff over here, I'm going to make like baby blue, and I'm going to use my hotkey for color fill object here. And we're going to go to this part here. This is the book leaves. We'll make that yellow. And then we've got this part here. Let's say this is all going to be just metal. Although, you know what? This is probably going to be leather. Let's do some insert mesh brushing really quickly. So brush, insert, industrial parts. No, brush, insert, model toolkit, M. And I think he's got some kind of just fasteners in here. That'll work. We'll just make them round. So really quickly, let's turn on X symmetry in the X and Y. And we'll go ahead and put in some studs here, and I can clean these up quickly. And on the back here, and if you want to make these all the same size, you're going to want to hold down Control while you drag them out. That'll make them your brush size. So now we can isolate this, Control-Shift-A, and then we're going to split hidden. And now on these little things here, I'm going to do a auto groups, and I'm going to make this one, and let's turn off X. This one, and this one can go bye-bye. All of these can stay. Let's get rid of this one, and we'll go ahead and delete hidden. And now just really quickly, I know this is sloppy, but again, we're just doing previs work. Doesn't matter. So we're going to go to, instead of topological, we're going to do mask by polygroups. We could use topological if we wanted to, and I'm just going to really quickly move these things into place. Those look fine. These need to be moved here. Like so. And this is going to be ugly previs, but that's okay, because as long as it's fast and we get it in quickly and we can evaluate it, I think we'll be in good shape. So I'm going to hit D, and then, so we've got these pieces here. Now these pieces, do I want to split those out into like leather? Because I don't want to necessarily make those metal. Give me some time here. Let's go ahead and say, yeah, that'll, you know what, and that'll be leather, that'll inherit that leather, but I want it to be different leather. So I'm going to duplicate this off. I'm going to go into solo mode here. I'm going to say boy, I was messy when I made this thing. Sorry about that. Bear with me. Turn off mask by polygroups. We'll hit, you know what? I don't feel like breaking that apart. We'll figure it, you know what? We can just figure it out in Painter. We don't even need to do polygroups that much. So anyways, we had this one here. We'll make this one red. And then this one here, we'll make this one blue. And then this one here, that one is red. And then this one also will make red. This is going to be, again, like I said, this is going to be sloppy, guys, so that's okay. And the skull will make like magenta. And then these things here will also make these baby blue. If I want to steal this color here, we'll hit C, and then we'll fill those with color. So this will be our very, very sloppy material breakup. And also we can turn off these original bindings. And this paper here, oh, that's right. So on this one here, I'm going to go through here. I'm going to knock, let's see, hold on. Turn off RGB. I just need to get this red out of here really quickly. Inflate, deflate, and that is another culprit. It's this one. So we'll mask this and then unmask this. And then invert that, and then we will deflate that a little bit. There we go. Just getting those knocked back. So we have all this ready to go. So we're going to throw this over into Houdini. In order to do that, I'm going to grab Houdini. And we might need to install some stuff. No, that should be installed. I'll need to load some stuff. So while that's loading, we got this ready to go. So I'm going to do an FBX export. So we're going to go to our Z plugin. And everything that's visible, I want to go ahead and export as an FBX. So we're going to say... Okay, code word is Rusty Lock. So, and that's for the ZBrush giveaway. $50. And we're going to go to FBX export, and we'll say export visible. And we're going to say throw it in medieval zombie, sure. And you know what? We're going to put this in its own folder, and we'll call it bake. And we'll say book high. This will be our high res. It's going to go through and export that. And then we're going to hop over into Houdini. You guys can see that, right? Yes, sir. So then in here, we're going to say, let's go open up GoZ, and we're going to open our port. Thank you. And then, you know what? Just in case we need them, we'll open up the game dev toolset. So now that that's all exported, you know what? We didn't even need to export that. What was I thinking? Well, we did if we were going to bake it in Painter. So I'm glad we did. So let's go ahead. Oh, you know what we should have done? We should have named these things. Actually, no, because we're not going to break this up with baking. We're just doing previous work. To hell with that. So now what we're going to do is we're going to do GoZ, and we're going to do all visible. And I think I have it set up. If not, we can update some of these. There we go. So now we've got our mesh in Houdini here. Let's go ahead and turn off the floor. And with this mesh, what I basically want to do is I want to voxel mesh this thing. And we're just going to voxel mesh all this together. There is a way to voxel mesh all these things separately, but in this particular case, I think we'll be in good shape just doing it all at once, because again, we're just doing a very simple game res with all these things plugged in together. So we're going to go ahead and do visibility on this thing. And what voxel mesh is doing is basically a Dynamesh and making it all one mesh here. There's some settings we can play with here if we want to like project back to the original, or we can sharpen our features based on angle threshold. We can do that. I think we'll be okay not doing either of those. You can also change this from high, medium to low. If we do low, that's going to grab, it's going to kind of make it just a looser envelope, so there will be less holes, like all those details in this lock aren't going to be projected. But we can still project some of that detail back to the original with just fewer voxels. If you want to see, I don't even think we need that. After you do project original, you can smooth out that post projection if you need to. If you want to see what it's doing, what we can do is let's go over here to select, and we'll do select name attribute. If we go here, when we voxelize, we lose that name attribute. So if we would just want to see one of these things, what we can do is we can say, let's grab something simple like that skull, and then we'll say delete. Oops, no, not delete. I guess I didn't select in the viewport. Let's see, here, and then we have the skull selected, which is this one. Oh, you know what? I wonder if it's because, no. Yeah, delete in the viewport. So now we have this blast node. On this blast node, I'm going to say delete non-selected, so we're just going to look at this, and we'll keep this voxel mesh out to the side. So for this one, we'll drop in a VDB. Let's see if I remember how to do this. We're going to VDB from polygons. So if we want to just voxelize this, you're going to see now we have voxels, and then we can change our voxel size. So these will be bigger and less resolution, and then now we go smaller, and that'll be less, more resolution in our voxels. And then from here, you ready? Okay, everybody remember the code word? We're going to be, so now what do I do? Is it just, do I say the code word in the chat? Is all I'm asking.
No, because you have to tell you the code word so that you know they're paying attention to your stream.
In the chat or how?
I'll randomly pick somebody.
But they say it in the chat.
Sure.
The code word,
yes.
right. Okay, that's what I'm asking. So, okay, so here's everybody saying the code word. Okay, so here's...
How did you choose this word?
I was just kind of working on stuff that was kind of like it. Okay, that's the one you want?
Sure.
Okay, whoops, everybody's scrolling. Hold on. That was AK Chang 8888?
Yeah.
Okay. So you're on Twitch. Can you whisper me AK Chang on Twitch? Here. Yeah, whisper me on here, and I will give your information to the ZBrush people. Whisper me your email, and then I'll give that to ZBrush, and they'll email you your $50 credit, and that'll work. So I'll wait for that. So while we're waiting on that, oh, let me do that. Let me see, whisper.
W//W. No, other way.
Backslash. Oh. Okay.
Is he still online?
Maybe.
Right, there he is.
Oh, there he is. Okay. Boom, there we go. Got it. Okay, I got you. Thanks, everybody.
Still stay tuned. 30 minutes left.
Yes, we still got 30 minutes. We're still having fun. Okay, so we got that all worked out. Thank you. I'm going to pass that along. And like I said, if you go to ZBrush here, ZBrush, there's a lot of cool stuff in here, and that $50 is going to go a long way. There's not a ton of really expensive stuff in here, I don't think. I mean, yeah, there is some of the stuff, but yeah, really, really good stuff, really good tutorials in here. Go check that out. Cool. Alrighty. Lucky you, Aaron, with the randomized finger. So we're going to say, okay, so we got this, so we're changing this polygon into a voxel mesh. So these are just like little voxely pieces. Now, if we want to change this back to polygons, we've got to do VDB, and we're going to do, it's going to be convert. Sorry, I don't do this very much. I use the, okay, convert VDB, I think. So convert VDB, and then instead of volume, we're going to change polygons. So then we've made this one visible. You're going to see we're going from our original mesh here, which is just our Dynamesh here, and then we're voxelizing it, and then we're turning that back into polygons. And based on, so if you have polygons visible, and we change this voxel mesh resolution, if we make this lower, you're going to see the polygons get lower res. And if we make it more voxels, the polygons get higher res. So essentially, that's what we're doing. So with all that, that's what that voxel mesh SOP is doing. So we turn this on, and then, okay, let's go ahead and get rid of that blast. We don't need that anymore. So we're going to do all of our objects at once. So we're basically just making a game res envelope, right? And I think that'll work fine for our purposes today, I think. If we need to, let's go here. Let's, instead of low, we'll do mid. That'll give us a little bit more resolution in here. Yeah, and now let's go ahead and decimate this down to a game res. Or decimate, we're going to poly reduce. So we'll say poly reduce here. And then on these settings, I'm going to do this continue reducing within quality tolerance and just click that button on, and it's going to do most of the work for me. And this probably should be fine. If you want to see how many polygons, you can just middle mouse over this and it'll show you that. Also, I like to hit D and then go to guides and then say always on. And now you can see down here there's 10,000 polygons. So this is fine. If this is like a first person book, that's perfect. So we've got our game res here. If we want to UV this thing, let's do auto UV. And we'll let that spin a little bit. And in the auto UV options, there's a lot of cool stuff you can do. You can do shortest pass, cluster, axis line, and UV unwrap. We'll see which one gives us the best results. If I make that visible, I'm going to hit 5. Oop, not 5. Spacebar 5. Let's see, we'll go back to primitives here. So spacebar 5 is going to be our UVs here. So let's switch that over to, let's say, axis line maybe. No, let's do UV unwrap. And we're going to let this pack it for me as well, and it's packing at the same time. So you have the UV unwrap over here, and then you have, if you want to do like angle-based packing, you can do optimal, you can do best, you can do packing iterations, island padding, all that good stuff. And here you can change, how many planes you want to unwrap from the UV unwrap. In the shortest path, there's a lot of options, so you can kind of dial in what's going to work best for you. And the best thing about this is, we'll change it back to 6. I'll do spacebar 1 to go back to our thing here. The best thing about this is if I have another mesh that I want to game res with the exact same settings, all I got to do is maintain this node network, and then I export that out again, and you're in good shape. Or you can even expose these parameters to Maya and just have this functionality up in Maya through Houdini. Or whatever, you can do it in Modo Max, Unreal, if you needed to. So we have this, we have that. If we want to bake in here, we're probably going to bake in Painter, but if you need to, you can go to not quick material, we want to do simple baker. So we can go ahead and bake. So with our simple baker here, we don't have this saved. Let's go ahead and do a file save as, and we will say save this into our Houdini. You know what? We'll just throw this on our desktop for now. Desktop, and we will call this book. Okay, so we got this simple baker. Let's go ahead and see if this will work. So simple baker here. We want to go ahead. You can change the channels, the advanced settings in here for like your cage and your mesh, and then what channels you want to bake. We'll just do these simple ones here. And we'll go ahead and hit render. And while this is rendering, I'll get caught up. Congratulations to our QBrush winner, AK Chang 888. Yes, this is Houdini. Oh, you hate the software? Well, I love Houdini. Decimation Master can't do this thing for us. It can, but are you able to batch? I mean, you can actually batch Decimation Master, but doing batchable stuff through Decimation Master, through the auto UVs, through the simple baker with all these settings, that's a little tougher to do. So with our simple baker here, we can go ahead and show this, and let's do Shift W, turn that off. And do we get all that stuff plugged in? Oh, you know what we needed to do? I'm dumb. Let's do a soften, game dev soften normal. So you can set your normal angle as well. And this one, we can just do a harden UV seams. That'll give us a better bake. You can also do a normal. If you want to set those individually, we can do by face area. And we do Shift W. We can drag, oops. We can drag this here. So if we drag this front and back, you can set your normal angle like that as well on the fly. Also, I forgot to mention in our poly reduce here, since we've already done that, we can just drag this percentage down, and we can just continue. We do continue, turn that off. So we can actually just drag this topology down on the fly and just dial in how much topology we think we're going to need, like so. We'll just do that one. So we did that one, we did our UVs, and we baked it out. But I'm just going to go ahead and export this and bake it in Painter really quick, just so it's already plugged in. It just saves me a little bit of time. So instead of this one, we are going to go ahead and harden those angles, I suppose. So harden angle, harden UV seams, that's fine. Shift W, and let's see if we can Shift W that out of there. There we go. So we've got that. So let's go ahead and export this. Hopefully this will work. There is an FBX exporter that'll export with all the separate names, and we could have kept the names through the voxelization and voxelize them separately, but we're not doing that. This is just simple stuff. So we can just use the default FBX output here, and we can say for this one, we're going to go wherever this thing is saved, which is our desktop FBX, and I think that'll work fine. So we're going to go ahead and hit save to disk. So this will be our low res. So now if we go into Painter, whoops, there's a new build. We'll skip getting the new stuff for now. Let me go ahead, hold on. Let's do Camtasia recorder. Just need to know where to set this thing, sorry guys. Here and here. Okay, so we'll go to File, New, and then hopefully on our desktop we can go grab our out FBX that we had. Yay, we got our book. And then we're going to go into our bake textures, and we're going to go ahead and grab our book high. Now you can bake by just the name, by mesh name, but since we're just baking this down to one solid mesh just for previous purposes, I'm just going to say always, and then we're going to bake this. Let's go ahead and just do a 2048 for now. I think that'll work fine, and we'll say bake. And the reason I'm baking in Painter is just so it automatically auto-loads these additional maps for me. I don't have to do any more of that work. There we go. So we've got our book here, and it's all previz nicely. We can kind of go through here. And if we want to while we're working, if you want to look a little bit better, you can turn on shadows. Okay, so let's go ahead and say, now if you want to grab some materials, you can go up here to this thing here. Let's see if I have any credits. Am I logged in? I have to log in. Dang. Well, we'll skip that. But you can go through here in the substance texturing, and you can just grab all sorts of cool stuff. So if you wanted to do like leather, you can grab all different types of leather, or you can make your own. If you want more information on this, the Substance Designer, Substance algorithmic website is perfectly fine. Wes McDermott does a lot of really great tutorial videos, obviously. I also have some on my channel. I have a Painter, Substance Painter, and Substance also on my ZBrush, and they're free. You can go grab Substance Painter Quick Start, Substance Designer Quick Start, and you can download those on ZBrush for free if you wanted to. So, for example, let's say we want to go to Smart Materials here, and we're going to type in, I guess just narrow it down to our metals here, and we'll do like a dark steel aged, and we'll throw this in here. And this will be our base. I mean, we'll use that for probably the skull and some of the other things, but we'll use that as just our base here. Oh, you know what? I wonder if we have Axel made some stuff for us. Do we have that loaded? Let me see. I'm trying to remember. It's been a while since we've been in here because we were doing robots. So Axel had some really, really cool stuff. Oh, another place you can get this stuff is if you go to Substance Share, share.algorithmic. It's spelled algorithmic. I think it's pronounced algorithmic. And you can go through here. In fact, if you go to the, what am I looking for here? Meshes. You can download, here's my GDC FPS female. So if you want to download this mesh and play around with it, I have tutorials for that on my website as well to kind of set her up. So check that out. But anyways, so we're going to go to Smart Materials Leather, and we'll drop in Leather Fine. Let's see how that works. And on this leather fine here, we're going to go ahead and say add mask with color selection. We're going to pick this red part. And that will be our leather portion here. And let's try some of these other ones. We got leather rough, leather dark, sofa. Let's do leather weathered. Leatherette weathered. I'm just trying to get something real obvious here. Yeah, that'll work. Add mask color selection, pick color. And we can go ahead and get rid of this leather fine aged here. Okay, so that'll be our leather book here. And then for the other types of metal, let me see. Let's go through our channels here. Yeah, okay, that'll work. Okay, and our pages here. Our pages, let's just set that one up. I mean, we might have a paper, maybe in our materials here. No, we'll just make one. So we're going to go to a fill, and we'll call this paper. And on this one, let's break this paper up a little bit because it is kind of old and crusty. So, and here's the paper that it kind of baked in here. You can see it looks like pages. It did a pretty good job. So what we can do is, let's say I want to do a fill. So I'm going to go down here to add a fill layer. And on this fill, we're going to say this base color only is something gnarly. Anybody use that word anymore, gnarly? That was big when I was growing up. Let's go down here to the grunges. And we'll just use one of these grunges to break this up. So we'll go to base color here. So now we have different varying degrees of black and white. And on this thing, we're going to do triplanar projection so it doesn't take our UVs into consideration. And then with this black and white, what we can do is we can say add a filter. And on this filter, we're going to say use a gradient. And on this gradient, we have, by default, we can add more. We have black, medium gray, and white. So we can assign different colors to each one of these value ranges. So on this one, we'll say we're going to dial in like kind of a yellowy orange kind of paper look. And then on this one, we can actually sample that color and then just kind of tweak it a little bit, just kind of offset a little bit. And on this one, we can sample this one and we can make it like maybe darker. There we go. And then on this paper, we're going to say, let's go ahead and group, Control G, group this paper, and we'll say paper all. I like to kind of stack things together. So we'll right click this, we'll say add mask color selection, pick color, and we'll just pick this yellow. There we go. So we got nice splotchy, gross paper in there. And we got leather bound tome. Now this leather over here should probably keep going. So what I can do is I can say, okay, leather here at the top, I'm going to add a paint. And we're going to say you get painted. I'm going to hold down Control and drag up to set that hardness. And then really quickly, we're just going to, this is the thing where it's like, should I break these apart and make these leather? Oh, I don't know. But it's just easy enough to go through here and be like, and again, this is just for previous purposes. Here. And on the back here, I was like, well, should I break these apart? Because those are supposed to be leather too. It's easy enough to just go through and do this. Now it is going to paint over these things, but I'm going to make those little steel pieces a separate layer, so it's not a huge deal. So we'll go ahead and paint all this leather as well. And we can actually stain this leather too. There's a couple different ways we can do that. They should probably be setting those masks up as we go. But again, we're just playing it fast and loose. I just want to get this thing into Unreal real quick, right? Which, now that I think about it, I don't know if my Unreal is actually installed all that well. Ooh, sorry, we may not go into Unreal today, but it is I'll walk you through the basic setup of what you would export. You would just basically bring your FBX in as a static mesh, and then when you go to File, Export Textures, you're going to choose the config for Unreal Engine packed, and then you can use that to drop into a material node. So we got this. Let's break this up a little bit with, okay, so we still want to break this up with like steel. And we also need to make these little dots, these little things stand out a little bit more. So let's go back into our smart materials here. We'll say steel, and you don't have to use smart materials. You can just make a metal. I just kind of like to use these things. We'll go mask color selection, pick color, and then we'll use these bright blue ones. And it looks like when we baked, we got a little bit of errors, but that's okay. Again, we'll just do add a paint, and we'll just go add paint color selection steel. Oh, that is steel. Wow. Oh, you know what? That's our ambient occlusion map. Probably doing something weird. That's okay. No biggie. So now if we want to do that, and then our base metal down here, let's drop in above that steel dark aged, we're going to drop in some bronze armor. Yeah, that'll be good. And we can try doing, let me see, add mask color selection. We can make the skull that color, and then on this one we'll add another paint, and we can just add, you know, maybe we want this to be bronze as well. You can kind of pick and choose. Maybe these things I want to be bronzed around the sides here. That'll work. Just doing a little bit of breakup. I didn't say it was going to look great. I just said we were going to have a little fun. So we're going to go here to the corners. And we'll just dial this in real quick. And really the important part is just evaluating it. Oh yeah, if we want to stain this leather a little bit or make it a darker leather, we can just do that within the leather itself. So let's say we go to steel leatherette damaged. Inside this leather, we do have damage. So in this damaged state here, we can go into this mask and we can say, crank that wear up, and it'll damage the hell out of that leather. So that kind of look, we can kind of play around with that. But also in here, we can do a fill layer. We'll just add another fill layer here. And we'll say this is stain. And on the stain, we're just going to drop that color quite a bit. In fact, we can just multiply like maybe a dark over that. And if we just wanted to affect the color, we can turn off all the colors, but all the channels but color. We can even make this a multiply if we want to. And that'll just multiply the stain over it, so we don't even need to make it that dark. We'll stain it down just a bit, and then we'll say add a black mask. And then through here, we can stain the color to a different, but let's drop that below damages. We want it to damage to the same state. We just want to break up that leather a little bit with maybe a, and we could override the roughness as well and the texture. We can make it a whole different leather that we want to stain with. But for this one, we'll just stick with this here. Talk amongst yourselves. I get uncomfortable when I'm not blabbing, but there's really not a lot for me to talk about here. All right, good enough. Now let's talk about maybe dropping in some overall roughness breakup and some dirt. If we want to throw a dirt in here, we can make it very similar. Oh, and while you're doing this, here's a good pro tip. Save often. I'm sure you've never heard that. You know what? Let's throw this into our stream. We'll be somewhat organized. Okay. So we got a book, and now we've got dirt. Now, in order to break up this dirt, we'll do another fill. And just like we did before, we'll go back here to our procedurals, and we can just do like black and white spots too is fine. We'll throw it in the base color, and we only care about the color here. And again, we can set that to triplanar. And again, one more time, add a filter, and we're going to say you are a gradient, and you are dirt brown, and you are also dirt brown, but a slightly different dirt brown. Let's say a little darker. And on this one, you are also dirt brown, but you are a lighter dirt brown. So we've broken that up, that dirt up, and now we need to say on this dirt, we're going to add a black mask so it doesn't go everywhere, and then we're going to control where that goes with a generator, and we're going to just drag in a real quick dirt. And now we have dirt. If we hit the Alt key, we can see where that dirt's collecting, and then we can do MG dirt. We can do dirt level more or less. Drop in some dirt in here. And then also, let's just throw in some roughness breakup. So we'll call this and we will say, you know what, we'll just do this. We'll grab a grungy. If you want to narrow this down to the grunges, whoops, we can type that in. And let's do grunge rust fine. Ooh, we should add some rust. Roughness breakup here. Here. If we, yeah, I think that'll work. So on this roughness, we're just going to show the roughness here. I'll kind of break that up a little bit. If you want to more or less that, is that a word? More or less it. If you want to make that more or less subtle, I suppose, or dial that in a little bit, you can just kind of break that up. I kind of like that kind of crusty kind of overall look. Also, if we want to, let's do, I kind of like that steel look a little bit better, so I'm going to kill that paint, and we're just going to keep that for our skull here. Okay, I think that'll work. You can also do your engraving on here. So if you wanted to say, add a height, so we'll say this is going to be, you can text stamp this, and then we'll do add a black mask. And then on this text stamp here, you can tell it what channels you want it to change. We can also do color. So if we want to say color a multiply, and then change this to just slightly just darker gray. And then as we put in text here, that'll slowly, oops, not multiply the roughness. We don't care about that. Multiply the base color here. So now it'll kind of stain again, but now we can add a height. So let's add height, and we'll dump this in. And now as we paint, it'll go ahead and kind of embed here. So you can go in here to your brushes, and you can say, you can go through here and do like a dirt spray with your height and kind of dumb it down. Or what I was thinking is we can go to our brush, we'll take default hard, and then we'll go to our alphas, and then you can go through here with any of these. Is there any, like, yeah, I'll grab this alpha grayscale. You can go through here and you can kind of stamp this. So you can be like, kind of stamp that off, and it gives you that nice engraving. If you want to change this, you can go here to the height, and you can dial it in more, or you can actually bump it out, even if you want to, like so. So you can kind of use that to your advantage just to kind of do, it's that really fine detail work you were looking at when you wanted to do that gun. You can kind of go through here, and you can kind of stamp this detail. And you know, obviously you can just do a line of detail as well. If we go down here, if there's anything cool, we can do maybe this. That looks more, that's too sci-fi. Oh, wait. It's like a warning. Anyway, go through here, grab some cool stamping. I guess we'll stick with, for now, since I have to wrap this up, we'll stick with these. And on the back here, we'll say, oops. Oh, you know what? That just changed the alpha. I don't need the grayscale. I'm dumb. So we'll go through here and just tap on those alphas, and it'll go ahead and, or you can just tap and then shift, and that'll go ahead and stamp them out. Then, of course, you're going to want to go to your spacing and really space them out a bunch if you're going to go that route. There we go. So you can kind of do stamping like that, or stamping like this. Or you can just stamp them one by one. A little bit more control. There we go. So we got some fancy stamps here. And we got that. There was one more thing I wanted to do. We got that. We got the dirt. We got the roughness breakup. I guess we can throw it into Iray. You can also do a missive if you wanted to, but for now, I guess we'll just save it. Sorry, I got sidetracked. So let's throw this into Iray real quick. And we're going to choose underneath the dome, or open that up. And under here, we'll change panorama. Ooh, that's a nice one. Bonifacio Street. Bus garage, probably not. And if you don't want the background, you can obviously take that out. You can just make it a clear color. But we'll choose one that looks pretty cool. I mean, I guess bus garage doesn't look that bad. Do I like this one more? No. We'll get something with a little more shadow in there. That'll work. Okay, so there's this. We can sweep it around the side. We can hold down Shift. We can go to the back. And we're getting all that nice leather detail, all that stamping. And even from here, if you look at it from back here, be like, that's about right. That's about what we're going for. You don't need all that detail. You're just trying to get dialed in the big forms and shapes and make sure it reads. And then when you get in here, it starts to break down a little bit, but it still holds up. You still get that there's a lock and leather straps. Although now you could probably just cut through the leather straps and not deal with the lock, right? But hey, you know, we try. So we got that, and then it still holds up. Like even when you get in here, even the stupid Dynamesh pages that it's not stupid, but the Dynamesh pages that we made are fine, and the game res we did was fine. So, and it was all automated. It was all easy. So really cool, really fun. Hope you guys enjoyed that. I'll take a quick dip through the comments. Congratulations to AK Chang 888 for winning the QBrush giveaway. And thanks for showing up, everybody. I'm going to head out. And I'm going to have more Houdini stuff coming up. When choosing import, what template do you say use? PBR metallic? Yeah, I don't use roughness and specularity. I use metallic roughness. I am too old. Cool. Yeah, we got dust in there. We got dirt. Oh yeah, rust. Real quick. Let's say. Okay, so I think we do actually have a smart material for rust. No. Oh, we have a material for rust that'll have some stuff dialed in. Oh, we also have a. So we have rust fine if we just want a material. So if we want to throw some rust on top of this object, it's going to make it all rusty, right? Oh, that actually looks really cool. See how easy it is, guys. But if we want this rust to be confined to specific places, we'll just throw the rust on here. And then to wear this rust out, we can go to our smart masks, and there's some really cool rust in here. Rust ground, rust drips. I'm going to use rust drips as a mask on top of this. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to add, we're going to group this. Group this one. We're going to say rust all. And on this one, I mean, you can mix the layers. It's fine. I want to do add mask color selection, pick color here. And then on this rust fine, we're going to drop our smart masks. And there's a cool rusty drips that I like a lot. And that'll go ahead and put some rust drips in those areas. And then of course you can dial in, you know, how much spread that rust has, if you want a lot or you want a little, and then how much contrast. And then on this material here, you can just dial in what color rust you want. And it is automatically broken up, it looks like, with a technical parameter here. It looks like there is a little bit of just built-in rust breakup. Of course, you guys know how to do the rust breakup manually by yourself if you want to, but use that if you'd like. And the cool thing about this too is if we think that the leather is too similar to the rust, we can go to the base color here, and we can say, you know what, let's desaturate that, and hell, we could even make it like a dark blue if we wanted to. You know, you just make all these changes and evaluate it on the fly and see if that works a little bit better for you. Or if not, you just hit undo and go back to what you wanted to have originally. Cool. Alrighty. I'm going to head out. Hey, from Brazil. My friend Louise is from Brazil, Rio. Thanks for the hug. Dark Descent says, watch video where a person changed the brush size without using hotkey, space, and S. Oh, there's a plugin for that. And if you're talking about it in ZBrush, in here it's really easy. You just hold down Control and do it. If you hold down Control, you're going to see there's the brush sizes. In ZBrush, there's a up, down, left, and right plugin. I think it's under the ZBrush plugin downloads. You can download that. It's like it's like brush size master or something like that. Yeah, and all this painting was just that low res mesh. So if we go through here and we turn on our wireframe and our viewer settings here, this is the mesh we're painting on. Not too much geo there. Cool. All right, everybody. Thanks for showing up. Hopefully you guys had a little bit of fun and we got to do a little bit of previs work. And create the drawings that was on the weapon. I'm terrible at that. You'll probably be better at going in and well, I mean, I can show you the methods that you would use, but as far as like recreating all that detail, that's just a lot of sit down and do it work, like just creating those very nice shapes. There's probably more elegant ways to achieve that, but I just really don't know what they are. Cool. All right, everybody. Thanks for showing up. Whoops, typing it in the wrong window there. And also, again, congratulations to AK Cheng. I'm going to send that email to ZBrush and get you that credit. Okay, bye, everybody.